But I was like, well, in her arm. It wasn't like now. And when she was, I got pretty good at that actually. I think
Yeah.
I would have came.
Something for us.
Yeah. I can see this. Yeah. Yeah. We'll tag team up. We probably can't do it 5 by ourselves or 6 by ourselves. There you go. Yeah. She's very patient. Yeah, she was trying. She was trying. Scientific. If it's would you like I gotta go to lunch. I gotta go.
At this time, I'll call to order the Campbell County Board of Education regular meeting for January 16, 2024, here at the Campbell County Board of Education Alexandria Educational Center. Our first item on our agenda is to approve the agenda.
I would recommend approval of the agenda as presented.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I'll move to approve the agenda.
Is there a second?
No second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Our next item is our pledge of allegiance. An admission statement which will be led tonight by Hope Hamilton and David McLeod.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The mission of the Campbell County School District, in partnership with students, staff, parents, and community, is to do whatever it takes
To ensure our students' success in college, career, and life.
Thank you. Next, we have our school presentation from Riley Elementary.
Right. Good evening. Just wanted to thank everyone here tonight, and I'm delighted to present everyone, especially the board, with our board report for this year. This fall has been incredibly exciting as we've kicked off our 23-24 school year. I'm just thrilled to share the remarkable achievements and the positive developments of things happening at Riley. Before we delve into the details, I did want to express my gratitude for Ms. Watkins, our assistant principal, first from our school counselor, Andrea Sebastian, as well as our site-based members, Michael Johnson, Andrea Fleckenstein, Kristen Humphreys, Claire Duvall, and Matt Short. Their pivotal roles have definitely contributed to the success of our building, and I do extend a heartfelt thanks to them, as well as our teachers at Riley. And then also I just wanted to thank the board members for your commitment to Riley, as well as your service to our community. We do have some exciting news to share with you guys about the successes that Riley's had this year. Our students have achieved outstanding results on last year's KSA assessment. We did earn a blue classification. We're proud to report blue scores in reading and math, green scores in science, social studies, and combined writing, as well as green scores for the quality of life index for our students. Just breaking down those scores a little bit, Riley achieved an indicator score of 91.1 in reading, showing significant improvement from previous school years, or reading and math. And then in social studies, science and writing, our scores were in the green category from the previous year, and we achieved a score of 79 on our climate survey, which is green as well. Diving into our climate survey a little bit, our feedback is resoundingly positive. 97% of our students agree or strongly agree that Riley is a caring place. Additionally, 95% of kids express a strong sense of belonging within their school community. 98% of our students have a person that they feel comfortable talking to. And then 96% of the students at Riley acknowledge that safety is a top priority. That just highlights the efficacy of our safety protocols and swift resolution to any issues that happen in the building. So we look at our KSA data and initial map data and walkthrough data from the beginning of the year. We have determined some focal points for the school year. Our strategic objectives are designed to fortify our educational experience at Riley, ensuring that each student receives the support and resources necessary for academic success. Our focuses will remain on classroom engagement strategies, supporting students with IEPs and economically diverse backgrounds, as well as enhancing our writing and social studies program. As far as our classroom engagement activities, we've been working with Missy Turner with some after-school programming for our teachers through faculty meetings focused on classroom engagement. We're working on different learning experiences such as engagement strategies, including explicit instruction, talk moves, and cadence strategies. For explicit instruction strategies, they're being integrated to provide clear and direct guidance, ensuring that students understand essential concepts through deliberate, systematic approaches. Teachers are developing explicit instructions that break down complex ideas into manageable components, promoting deeper understanding among students. We're incorporating talk moves into our classroom interactions, which foster meaningful dialogue and collaborative learning. Teachers are using strategic questioning, facilitating discussions, and encouraging students to articulate their thoughts. This not only enhances the comprehension, but also cultivates a classroom environment where every voice is heard. Furthermore, we're using Kagan strategies within our classrooms that just develop cooperative learning and positive interdependence among students. And these collaborative techniques not only enhance engagement, but also contribute to a supportive and inclusive classroom. So these past couple months, this has been our area of focus, and as we move on throughout the winter and spring, Riley will focus a little bit more with collaboration strategies and accountable talk as well. So we're excited with those professional developments that we've been offering our teachers. For special education and economically diverse students, our commitment to inclusivity does extend to as our second major focus. We provide support to students with special needs and those students with economic diverse backgrounds. In our weekly PLC meetings, we meet to address the unique needs of students, fostering an environment where every learner can thrive. Within PLC meetings, our teachers identify and track the progress of students with IEPs, ensuring tailored support and accommodations are in place to meet their learning requirements. Prior to IEP meetings, we're having teachers sit down with administration just to problem solve and plan to ensure that we're creating the best plan for our students as we move into the future. And then that is just making sure we're meeting those unique strengths of students and the challenges of each student. For our economically diverse backgrounds, we use a holistic approach. We analyze data and intervention data to tailor our support strategies. We're tracking those students who qualify for free and reduced lunch. We aim to proactively remove any barriers to instruction, just ensuring that all students have an equal opportunity to succeed. As we move on, we're looking at writing and social studies, our writing and social studies programs. Our recent KSA data identified some specific areas requiring attention and improvement, particularly in writing and social studies, and our primary goal is just to continue to enhance those areas. For writing, we're working with the new APE and CUR models, which is our key initiative. We're also collaborating with instructional coaches to just ensure that we have a seamless integration into the curriculum. And then for social studies, again, we're working with our coaches to make sure they're implementing all of our content and making sure that our teachers are just using all those resources that they have to promote the positive classroom. So our next area is just kind of some of the unique things that we're doing at Riley. When I started at the beginning of the school year, I met with all the teachers and they gave us they all said the same thing, that Riley was a great team, that That was just, they reiterated that point as I met with teachers. So we decided to make our focus for the year as like team, or our theme for the year was that we're a good team, that we work together, and that's just what kept coming up. So we developed some brag tags that students earn each month, which focus on a different character trait that relates to being a part of a team or being a teammate. So each month, students, just if they meet our behavior incentives for the month, then they're able to earn a brag tag, which hits that character trait. And these just an example of some of the events that we've done with our students. They've had teamwork parties and popcorn parties and respect parties to just encourage that positive behavior throughout the building. And then finally, is our district's emphasis on the career pathways. Riley's facilitating monthly career-based clubs for students. These clubs do provide an opportunity for them to interact with different teachers and focus on different career clusters. Activities within these clubs include, like, we have gardening club and 4-H club, art clubs, Lego clubs, coding and 3D printing and robotics. So a bunch of different options for students to tackle there. And the monthly rotation, our hope is that as students go up through the grade levels at Riley, if they starting at kindergarten and going to 5th grade, that they'll have the opportunity to hit all 16 career clusters as they work through. So the teachers love it, and the students love it, and it's definitely been something that we're proud of, and we want to continue as we work through the year. So I just wanted to express my thanks and appreciation again to the school board for giving me the opportunity to present these updates about Riley, and again, your ongoing support is definitely thanked. So again, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments?
And I'd just like to say that the test score was great.
Yeah.
Good job. Thank you.
Really amazing.
Yeah.
Good job.
Thank you.
And having had grandchildren recently go through where I know it's a really good place for kids. So keep it up.
Thank you. Thanks again. Thanks.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is Our Stars, for Campbell. We should all move down.
All right, for our stars tonight, we have several students who are CCHS fall sports athletes that we are recognizing. We have 2 that are with us in person, and we will read the names of the rest as well. Hope Hamilton and Ava Crow are here with us. We also have Jonathan Christopher, Olivia Holbrook, Catherine McKee, Brooklyn Phelps, Talon Bean, Allison Collins, Noah Rittinger, Kaden Rose, Brock Sorgenfry, Josie Holmes, Casey Thompson, Brian Waycorn, Emma Manser, Lexi Sherrill, Nate Smith, Dylan Shulkers, Aaron Jackson, Joseph Amato, Hunter Wiseman, Aiden Dowds, Carson Everett, Caleb Milton, Mason Wiseman, Blake Funston, Xavier Fancher, and Trevor Bertram. These Campbell County High School student athletes from our cross country, golf, soccer, volleyball, and football teams were selected to the Cincinnati Enquirer 2023 Fall Sports All-Star Team based on their stellar performance during their respective 2023 sports season. So congratulations to both of you and to the rest of the group for this impressive accomplishment. And then that is the end of our Our Stars portion of the meeting. Congratulations, students. I am going to ask our school board members to remain standing in the front. It is School Board Recognition Month, and we have a few words of appreciation to share. The community values a high-quality education as a vital step along the pathway to success for our children. The members of our community have elected Kimber Fender, Peggy Schultz, Kaylin Campbell, Rich Mason, and Joshua Perkins to contribute greatly to this mission through their service on the Campbell County Board of Education. These decision makers are responsible for ensuring students receive the highest quality education, maintaining strong, effective budgetary oversight, setting high standards for employment, and overseeing a safe, well-managed set of school facilities. These board members are serving our community with integrity, honor, and a commitment to our children's futures. January 2024 marks Kentucky's observation of their contributions through School Board Recognition Month. All of us here in Campbell County express appreciation to these members of the Campbell County Board of Education, and in doing so, encourage all people of our community to join in honoring Kimber Fender, Peggy Schultz, Kaylin Campbell, Rich Mason, and Joshua Perkins for their service. At this time, Dr. Wilson has a special token of appreciation for our board members. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
The next item on our agenda is honoring communication. No, no, speaker second time. Next we have our superintendent comments.
Yeah, so I wanted to start by thanking our Board of Education for adding the federal holiday of Martin Luther King Jr. Day to our calendar for this year. This change was made last year, but since this was new to this calendar's year, I just wanted to take a moment to share my appreciation for that holiday. And I also want to say thank you to our Board of Education for their selfless leadership and commitment to Campbell County Schools. There are many behind-the-scene hours of careful review and considerations, trainings, and sometimes headaches that go along with the role of the school board elected official. Our board is not thanked enough, and I want to make sure that on behalf of our district, you know how much you are appreciated.
Thank you. Next we have board member comments.
I'd like to welcome everybody back from the holidays. I hope everything was wonderful. Thank you for the wonderful gifts for being a board member. I really enjoy it. And congratulations to our All-Stars, and then our middle school once again has pulled through on the academics. That's awesome. Congratulations. And thank you all.
I'd like to thank everyone who contributed to the Staff Appreciation Fund. Last time I checked, it was up to about $2,700 in donations, so it's very nice. We have a very generous community. There were a lot of small contributions there. A lot of people contributed. Thank you for the board member bag. I really like going through the cards. It's always something I enjoy. I'll never forget when my first January here, nobody warned me that was going to happen, and it was really neat to go through all that. So I really appreciate that. And as Ms. Schultz said, congrats to the middle school academic team. I saw that earlier today. That's very exciting to see.
Yeah, I'd just like to add my thanks to all the kids, because I know I haven't seen them yet, but I know there's a bunch of notes and cards and things from students, and it is a lot of fun. I always enjoy that every year.
So, yes, welcome back to the second half of the school year as we kick that off in 2024. So hopefully the second half will be as successful as the first. And soon we'll be celebrating our graduation. I'd like to take a moment to congratulate one of my teachers, a first grade teacher at Crossroads, Shannon Mann, who received some recognition for her excellent work. I'd also like to add my thanks to everyone for the board member gifts. It's rewarding in and of itself without any of this appreciation. So I don't think we'd keep doing it if it weren't, because we do spend time at training and at the meetings and things. And so I'm learning about way more about how school systems operate than you ever know as a parent or just a member of the community. And then finally, because it was so cold and we just came up a 3-day weekend, a special thanks to our transportation staff for getting everyone out. I was wondering if the buses were going to start this morning or not, but apparently everything worked. They all started. So that sometimes is a problem when we have a little longer time off and the weather gets really cold. So thanks for getting everybody safely to and from school today. Next on our agenda is the personnel actions, and the board accepts those as submitted. Then we have our written communications and reports, which include the site-based minutes, the Frisky reports, the homeless services report, the pupil personnel report, the public relations report, and the report of donations, the school-related field trip notifications for athletics and transportation, the district non-SBDM staffing, the 2024-25 draft budget, the full school report for Riley Elementary, the annual financial report to KDE, the mental health job description, the district calendar for 25-26 first read, and the sale of surplus items. Next we have our independent auditor's report. Auditor Ms. Key is here.
Thank you. You have in front of you, I hope, your audit report for the fiscal year June 30th, 2023. It is 98 pages, so we won't go over each and every one of those. But I do want to highlight a few things and then answer any questions that you might have. Or if there's something that I don't go over that you would like for me to, I would be glad to do that as well. Feel free to ask questions at any point, or if you want to wait until the end, that's fine as well. We'll start on page 4. Page 4 is your opinion letter. It is an unmodified opinion, which means that your financial statements are presented fairly in all material respects. And we use that terminology because we test transactions. We don't look at every transaction that occurs during the year. If that would just literally be impossible unless we were here every day. So, based on the testing, we feel that the financial statements are presented fairly. Pages 7 through 11 is your management's discussion and analysis. That's a really good place to read about some of the highlights, which I'm sure you are aware of, but sometimes we forget about all the good things we've done during the year. I'm not going to go over all that, but do take your time to review those. But we'll start with numbers on page 12. Page 12 is our district-wide financial statement. This is a financial statement that includes all your assets and all your liabilities. So it's going to include your fixed assets, your buildings, your buses. It's also going to include the liabilities like your bonds and that pension and OPEB liability. And OPEB stands for Other Post-Employment Benefits. So that's something that actually has occurred, started within the last few years, so it's sort of new to what we're doing. If you look at the bottom of page 12, in the first column, you'll see a negative $13 million. That number would normally be concerning if it were not for the fact that the pension and OPEB liabilities are actually 26 million. So we really would have been in great shape if we were not required to include those two items. And we really don't have to budget for those two items. We only have to budget for contributions. So it's not something you need to be overly concerned about. But let's look at page 14, because those are numbers that you use when you're budgeting. Those are numbers that you use when you're monitoring. And if you look under the general fund, which is what I will talk about most, you'll see that your fund balance, unassigned fund balance, is $10.5 million. This is a really good carryover, if you will, from year to year, and certainly means that as a district you have a very strong financial position. Then if we go to page 16, this is where you see your revenues and expenditures for the year. It does include indirect costs from food service of $203,000 and a transfer from your capital funds of $472,000. You'll notice in the first column again, we had revenues in excess of expenditures of $1.7 million. And the big thing to look at under the construction fund is that we still have a large carryover. So we will be spending that for the next few years as we finish up some of those major projects. And let's talk a little bit about food service, which starts on page, starts on page 18. Your cash balance is $2.4 billion, which is the strongest cash balance I have ever seen in a food service. So again, that's very good. You do, I know, have some plans for some new equipment, those kinds of things, to use that, but a very strong position. And then if we look on page 19, this is actually showing a $1.2 million deficit. But don't be alarmed by that, because food service is a proprietary fund, so we have to include their portion of the pension and OPEB liability, and that was 1.7. So without that, it would have been a positive amount. So don't be overly concerned about that negative. Just recognize that it's more of an accounting issue than it is an actual issue. And then finally, for food service, we look on page 20, and you'll see that about 3/4 of the way down, your increase in your cash was almost $79,000. So that's why I said don't be concerned about that large negative amount. You really are living within your means in that food service and have a great fund balance. So when we start the notes to the financial statements, these go from page 21 to 55. We won't go over all those. That is a really good place for you to look at how you do business and get some detail of the transactions during the year. On pages 30 and 31 are the additions and retirements to your fixed assets, so you may want to take a look at that. Page 32 breaks down your bond obligations, so you may want to take a look at that. And then pages 35 through 55 deal with the pension and OPEB. I get really frustrated when I have to do that note every year because it takes about a week to do it, because we have to go through all of the information that's on the website for Kentucky and for the teacher's retirement. This is something that you could actually get from their website, but we're required to include it in yours as well. So take a look at that if you enjoy that kind of information. And then let's go to page 57. 57 is our budget comparison. Campbell County has elected not to budget your on-behalf payments. I suspect that has to do with the fact that it increases your revenues and expenditures, but doesn't really affect your cash flow. But because of that, you have some large negative numbers here. Again, I'm not overly concerned about that, because if you'll see The negative numbers for expenditures, it's a little over 8 million. But those on behalf payments are almost $19 million. So without that, if that information had been budgeted, those numbers would have been positive. So again, don't be overly concerned about those negative numbers. So I made a little note at the bottom what the on behalf payments were. And then the budget comparison for special revenue, which is on page 58. I get a little frustrated with this particular page because our budgets are only for the current year. And if you are aware of how our projects work, many of those have carryover from year to year. So we're really comparing just current year budgets with transactions that may have occurred. Some of the transactions may have occurred and the budget may have occurred in the prior year. So when you look at the numbers, some of them are negative. Again, we're not really comparing apples to apples. So I know that KDE is currently having this discussion about whether or not we are even going to continue to do this particular budget comparison because it's really hard to get good numbers on those. 59 through 66 are the details of the pension and OPEB information. Again, I'm not going to go over all that. I will just say that the pension liability has doubled in the last 9 years, something that's increasingly concerning when we're not really, the legislature is not really taking action to try to decrease those numbers. Page 69 is a summary of our school activity funds. And it really gives you a good summary of the amount of transactions that go through those school activity funds. As you can see at the high school, there's over $1 million that goes through that school in 1 year. So the school bookkeepers really have their jobs set out for them. They really have a lot of transactions that they have to do. Then page 73 and 74 is a summary of your federal expenditures. And I really just want to draw your attention to the amount of COVID money that we had this year. If I can get my pages to turn. If you'll look on page 74, we had almost $6 million in COVID money. That money will end in 2024. Not in this fiscal year, but in September of 2024. So it's something as a board you need to be aware of. That money will no longer be available to you, and certainly when it comes to budgeting, you'll have some issues that you will need to discuss about, you know, what we spent this money for compared with what we're going to do in the future. I'm not going to go over in great detail, but on pages 81 and 83, we did have 2 material weaknesses. It had to do with really accounting practices, and those have been addressed by the staff. And then finally on pages 87 through 98 are the management letter points, and those have all been addressed by the staff as well. We did have accounts payable of about $30,000 we did not report. That number is actually immaterial to your financial statements, and the time that it would take to record those and reverse those really did not make it reasonable to do so. Do you have any questions, or is there anything I didn't cover that you would like for me to cover?
I'll just say thank you. I think some of the things that you told us this time were things that I had not realized in previous audits. So it's very helpful to have that information. Thank you very much.
I appreciate it. I appreciate having your business, and certainly wish you well for the rest of your school year. Thank you.
Thank you.
So now we move to our action agenda, which the first item is our Board of Education meeting schedule for 2024.
Yes, every year, the Board of Education sets the regularly scheduled meeting dates, times, and locations. So that is Board Policy 1.42, which is called regular meetings, and that does read that at the meeting in January, the board shall adopt a schedule of regular meetings for the calendar year, identifying the date, time, and place of each meeting. Any rescheduled regular meetings shall be noticed and held as special meetings. In addition to regularly scheduled board meetings, the board can call a special meeting when applicable, and when this is done, discussion is limited to only what is on the agenda. So all of the meetings will be held at the Alexandria Education Center, there you are, at 51 Orchard Lane, Alexandria, Kentucky. The board has before them that schedule.
I think most notable is that although these are typically on Monday, February's meeting will again be on a Tuesday because the third Monday is a federal holiday. So we're again on a Tuesday at that next. I'm not worried about January next year.
Oh, so just like February and January of next year will be on Tuesday, just like today.
I'm only worried about next month. I'm showing up on Monday night and being the only one here.
Gotcha, you're worried about that. I'm a whole year ahead of you. I'm praying for you. Sorry. But yes, there are two that are out of the routine on here.
Any questions or comments?
Without any questions, I would recommend approval of the Campbell County Board of Education 2024 regular meeting schedule as presented.
For Dr. Wilson's recommendation, is there a motion from the board?
I move we accept the meeting schedule.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Mason?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Ms. Schultz?
Yes.
Ms. Fenders, yes. Our next item is BG number 24-147, Campbell County High School auditorium lighting, award the bid, and revised BG1.
Okay, as you mentioned, the district has worked with Shroud Tate Wilson and Robert Emmett Hayes and Associates to develop the design of this project. The scope of work will include power controls, distribution services, or devices, equipment, demolition, electric control devices, training, system startup, labor, and warranties. There were 4 bids that were received on January 9th for this auditorium lighting, and you have that bid sheet and a recommendation letter before you. That does recommend an award, or excuse me, when you look at the boards, the recommendation would be the revised to approve the revised BG1 and award the bid to United Electric, which is in there.
So we knew when we went out for bid, this was an expensive project, and indeed the bids came back. The cost of this project is with the bids and accepting one, I believe, alternate, but rejecting the other 3. Is that correct, Mr. Hayes? Correct. The amount would be $626,322.80. So.
And that is to the building fund, as you heard Mrs. Keene mention, that we had some projects that we were working on spending down.
To your recommendation, Dr. Wilson?
Would be approve the revised BG1 and award bid to United Electric for BG number 24-147 for the Campbell County High School auditorium lighting as presented.
You've heard Dr. Wilson's recommendation. Is there a motion from the board?
I move we approve the BG 24-147 Campbell County High School auditorium lighting, revised BG1, and award the bid to United Electric.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Schultz?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Mr. Mason?
Yes.
And Ms. Fenders, yes. The next item on our agenda is BG number 22-294, Campbell County Middle School renovations, change order number 6.
So I like these change orders that come before you. This one is actually an overall credit. So, but within that overall credit of $10,782.23, there are some changes here, which include the East Kentucky Masonry LLC 2-3, the Avenue Fabricating 3-4, and River City Glass doing business as McAndrews Glass 5-1. The information and conditions have been verified by Cordell Construction, our architects and engineers. It does include with the East Kentucky Masonry LLC. That is a $17,000, $172.77 change order, and that has to do with the concrete masonry unit and the chimney replacement. The Avenue Fabricating is a credit of $17,955, and that is to remove from the scope of work the handrails. The general trades contractors will be performing that. They'll be taking care of the handrails. And then the River City Glass, doing business at McAndrews Glass, has a $10,000 credit, and that is for the redesign of the windows, as was proposed. So overall, with all of those changes, the overall change order presented before you for number 6 is a total of a $10,782.23 credit.
I just would like to confirm that the ornamental handrail at the exterior stairs, that was already included in the price from the general trades contractor?
Yes, correct, and they're actually installed. So the Perkins and Carmack provided them in their price, and then we also had specified in the fabrication, so there is a credit on that for us.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we weren't going to see an additional change order in the
No,
future.
they're actually already up.
Great, thank you. Making sure.
Any other ornamental handrails?
Any other questions or comments? Recommendation?
I would recommend approve change order number 6, which includes East Kentucky Masonry LLC 2-3, Avenue Fabricating 3-4, and River City Glass doing business as McAndrews Glass 5-1 for BG number 22-294, Campbell County Middle School renovations as presented.
You've heard Dr. Wilson's recommendation. Is there a motion from the board?
I'll move we approve the BG 22-294 CCMS renovations, change order number 6.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Mason?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Ms. Schultz?
Yes.
Ms. Winters? Yes. I have to say, it's unusual to do a renovation budget that we're going of that age and size and only have 6 change orders so far. So really good. Now, next time we'll have like a hat. So thank you. Our next item is bus purchases and DERA funding.
The DERA is Diesel Emissions Reduction Act. We have before you the approval of the purchase of 4 buses and acceptance of the DERA funding. And when you look at the price breakdown of what that will cost the districts, that is $481,000 out of capital outlay, will be $56,852 out of the general fund total. The DERA funding is $65,000 that we will pay and then be reimbursed. So the total to the district after reimbursement will be $537,852, and that will get us 2 72-passenger Bluebird conventional bus purchases and 1 72-passenger international conventional bus purchase for a and then 1 52-passenger special needs international bus with a lift. So with that, we do, so for the public to know, we are following a depreciation schedule to keep our fleet operational and meet the needs of our students and the transportation department. We have provided that purchasing schedule for you, and so these buses will continue to enhance our aging bus fleet. Our board does a very good job of keeping up with this. As we said, this will be 3 conventional style buses, 1 special needs bus with a lift. 2 of the 72-passenger buses will be propane, and that will meet the requirements of the DERA funding that we are eligible to receive. And also, unfortunately, to note that due to supply chain issues across the entire state, the current lead times on these buses are about 270 days.
Did I read correctly that we've not received 2022 buses yet?
Oh, yeah, correct.
Is that?
So, Gary?
We just got those, we could pick up 3 of the 4 tomorrow.
Oh, good timing.
They must have known we were going to have this meeting. Look at that.
How many propane buses do we have now?
This will be 4, we have 3.
Okay.
So we've been happy with them.
Yes.
We had one of the hybrids is still on the books, right?
2.
Two.
Any other questions or comments about buses? I think that's why they started this morning, because we keep up with our replacement schedule.
Yeah, everybody, if you try to buy a car like, try to what happened with vehicle prices. And I was just looking back at the spreadsheet we have on the cost of the buses as we bought them back in 2008. They were running about $65,000 per bus. Now they're some of them over 100,000. So it's a big commitment, and I really appreciate the rest of the board supporting what we did a few years ago and are on a regular schedule, so we don't get surprises. And we have them spaced out, so it makes it easier to anticipate. It's been a good time.
Any other questions or comments? Otherwise, we'll
Recommend that you approve the purchase of 4 buses and the acceptance of the DERA funding as presented.
have a motion from the board.
I move we approve bus purchases and the DERA funding.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Ms. Schultz?
Yeah.
Mr. Mason?
Yes.
Ms. Fenner? Next on our agenda is our consent agenda, which includes our minutes, our addendum bills, our regular bills, our treasurer's report, leave of absence request, short school day for students at individual education programs, individualized education programs, the SFCC offer of assistance for debt services fiscal year 2024, divisions of 2023-2024 fundraisers for Branch Lake Elementary. Any questions about any of it? So motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll move we approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
And second?
Ms. Schultz?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Mr. Mason?
Yes.
Ms. Fenner is yes. The last item on our agenda is the adjournment. So motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.